Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are live and quite frankly, we are still reeling from what can only be described as a seismic shift in the landscape of professional tennis. If you are just joining us, you might be looking at the headlines coming out of Doha this evening and asking yourself if there's been a mistake. You might be looking at the attendance figures, the decibel readings, and the ticket sales data from the Qatar Open and wondering if the finals were moved up by a week. But make no mistake, this was not a final. This was not a semifinal. This was not even a clash between the established titans of the WTA Top 5. What we witnessed today at the Khalifa International Tennis and Squash Complex was a first-round match, a round of 64 encounter that by all traditional metrics should have been a quiet standard fare on a Monday afternoon. But today, the city of Doha did not just host a tennis match. It hosted a cultural phenomenon. The headline is real and the shock waves are vibrating through the entire sporting world right now. Alexandra Eala, the 20-year-old Filipino sensation, has not only arrived in Qatar, she has effectively taken over. We are talking about a sold-out stadium. Let me repeat that because I want the gravity of this to sink in. A sold-out center court for a first-round match. In the history of the Qatar Total Energies Open, a tournament that has hosted legends, Grand Slam champions, and world number ones, it is almost unheard to see this level of hysteria, this density of crowd participation. This early in the tournament week, usually the stands fill up as the stakes get higher, as we inch closer to the trophy ceremony. But today the script was flipped. The tickets were gone before the first ball was even struck. The queues outside the complex stretched for blocks. A sea of red, blue, yellow, and white. The colors of the Philippine flag, painting the streets of Doha in a vibrant display of national pride that transcends sport. The organizers are calling it the ELA effect. But frankly, that term feels like an understatement for what transpired on court today. We saw reports earlier this week, comments from fellow pros like Doria Seville suggesting that Eala was becoming a box office gold mine. Seville said that if she were a tournament director, she'd move heaven and earth to get Eala in her draw. And today we saw exactly why. The energy inside that stadium wasn't just supportive. It was electric. It was deafening. It was the kind of atmosphere you reserve for a Davis Cup final or a World Cup match, not a WTA 1000 opener. But let's not let the spectacle overshadow the sport because the narrative here is twofold. Yes, the crowd was the story, but the player earned that story. Alexandra Eala, ranked world number 45 in climbing, walked onto that court carrying the weight of a nation and perhaps more dauntingly the weight of a statistical curse that has haunted her young career. She was facing Teresa Valentova of the Czech Republic. Now for the casual viewer, that name might just be another opponent, but for those who have followed Eala's trajectory, you know the significance the Czech jinx. Before today, Alex Eala had faced Czech opponents multiple times on tour, and every single time, she had walked away second best. It was becoming a mental hurdle, a bizarre statistical anomaly where the disciplined, heavy-hitting style of Czech tennis seemed to be the kryptonite to Eala's gritty, lefty creativity. She had lost to Valentova before a crushing straight sets defeat in Japan just last year. The pundits knew this. The betting markets knew this. The pressure was immense. You have 7,000 screaming fans expecting a coronation, but you're staring across the net at a player who has historically owned you. That is the crucible Alex Eala stepped into today. And the result is why we watch sports. It is why we obsess over these narratives. Eala didn't just play. She deconstructed the narrative. She didn't just feed off the crowd. She harnessed that energy and weaponized against the history books. The shock in Doha isn't just that the seats were full. The shock is a complete transformation of the atmosphere. We are used to polite applause in tennis. We're used to quiet, please. Today, we had a wall of sound. Every forehand winner was met with a roar that shook the camera lenses. Every breakpoint saved was celebrated like a match point. And for Valentova, massive credit is due because playing against that kind of partisan hostility is a nightmare. But this was Eala's stage. She turned the Khalifa complex into the Araneta Coliseum. She turned the solitary sport into a team effort with thousands of overseas Filipino workers, OFWs, serving as her doubles partner. This moment matters. It matters because it signals a shift in the economic and cultural gravity of the tour. We have seen the big three in men's tennis retire or fade. We are constantly looking for the next generation of superstars who can move the needle, who can sell tickets, who can make people care about a first-round match on a Monday. Today, Doha found its answer. It's not just about the tennis anymore. It's about the connection. Eala has that entanglement factor, a connection with a diaspora that is global, passionate, and hungry for representation. So, as we settle in for this deep dive, we are going to unpack everything. We are going to look at the technical adjustments Eala made to finally break the check jinx. We are going to analyze the numbers behind this attendance record and what it tells us about the lights of the desert shimmered against the polished court, and the air inside the stadium buzzed with anticipation. It was opening night at the prestigious Qatar Open in the dazzling city of Doha. The stands were packed, every seat filled, every aisle crowded, every phone raised in expectation. Fans had come to witness world-class tennis, but few knew they were about to experience something unforgettable. Then she walked out, young, composed, and carrying the quiet intensity of someone who knows she belongs. Alexandra Eala stepped onto the court for her first match of the tournament. The roar that greeted her was thunderous, but beneath it was curiosity. Could this rising star truly stand tall on one of the biggest stages in tennis? Within minutes, the answer became clear. The moment the desert held its breath, the opening rally was electric. The crack of the ball echoed sharply under the stadium lights as Eala chased down a deep forehand, sliding into position and whipping a cross-court winner that kissed the baseline. The crowd gasped, then erupted. It was not just a point. It was a declaration. From that instant, something shifted. Her movement was poetry in motion, quick, fearless, deliberate. Each serve carried confidence beyond her years. Each return was calculated with surgical precision. The energy in the sold-out arena surged with every swing of her racket. She wasn't just playing. She was commanding the stage. Veteran spectators leaned forward. Commentators scrambled for superlatives. Social media ignited in real time. This was no ordinary debut performance. This was a statement. Fearless in the spotlight. Big tournaments can intimidate even seasoned professionals. The lights are brighter. The expectations heavier. The silence before each serve feels amplified. But Eala seemed to thrive in it. Down break point early in the first set, she didn't hesitate. Instead, she delivered a bold second serve down the tee. An audacious choice that,